All right. I'm Peter Brusso for 101 Small Business Mastermind. Again, back here. We're going to do our second install of our internet marketing topic. But first off, let me introduce everybody. Dick, you want to say hi?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Well, we're all doing good. Okay.
That's good.
Mark Paul is with us, marketing extraordinaire.
Good morning, gentlemen. Glad to be here.
All right. And Frank?
Good morning. That
All
sounds like
righty.
a scene from Robin Williams' movie. Good morning. Oh, it was Vietnam. That's right.
Yeah.
We get it. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Vietnam. Yes. Well,
Right.
I can sympathize with that one. All right, so hey, last week's topic, going into stage two on this one, the next piece of the internet puzzle are keywords, and people always talk about keywords, and they put them in the site and in a keyword meta tag, and they think that's it, and that's not it. So a keyword has to have and is known by three specific things. First off, the keyword has to be popularly searched. And I use a tool, which I'll show here in a minute, that does that type of thing. It has to you have to find a keyword that's used more than, say, 50 times a day. And I was surprised when I first started to use this tool how bad my choices of keywords in the past have been. I had keywords that no one would look for, and no one did look for. And so this tool is able to actually go out and pull information from Google to tell us and show us what we actually had for keywords, for traffic. So traffic is the number one thing we screen for. The second thing is it also tells us what the competition for that keyword is. And so we look for one of our filtered matrices is web pages, 150,000 web pages or below in competition. Otherwise, if a keyword is very popular and used in millions of web pages, there's just no chance that you're going to ever rank for that keyword in a Google search. And again, what we're trying to do is to get on a front page of a Google search for that particular keyword. You know, some people say, oh yeah, I'll get you on the front page, well, of a Google search, but for what? For what keyword? Well, for anything. And they're lying, and basically. And then people get fooled by that, and it's too bad. But so that's the second aspect of what a keyword is all about. The third aspect of a keyword is particularly important too, that somebody buys something using that keyword. Now most websites have some commercial value to them, and so we don't want to center around looky-loo keywords. So that's why it's really important that we basically be able to tell those metrics. And then once we find a handful of those keywords, then we have to go see how strong the competition is for the first page. And I'm going to show this to you now, and hopefully everybody can see this. Let me do a share screen. Last week I blew it, and let me see right here. That's what I want. Okay, everybody should be able to see the screen. You guys seeing this okay?
Not yet.
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so this is our buddy for agelesssecret.com. Phenomenal product, by the way, everybody. And so you can see along the top here, these are all keywords that I've been looking at that pass the basic test. If I come over here, you know, these are 4 keywords, and what we see here, this is like facial peel is searched 95 times a day and has 147,000 competitive web pages, and people have purchased off those pages probably products for appeal of $106.92 on an average. So these are the first things that I kind of go look at. Now once you are here, let's go do the facial peel. We'll click this little icon here, and we probably already have it. Here we go. So we come over here to the facial peel, and I want to look at the SEO competition. And basically what this does is it goes out and is going to generate a bunch of results. Now, they're going to, matter of fact, find the top 10 or 12 slots on the first page of Google for that particular keyword, and it will be able to look to see how strong these competitors really are. And so without doing this, you can see it's just going to be crazy. Now, even though facial peel met my first three criteria of being popularly searched and whatnot, the thing that we look at here now is, and here's YouTube in the number 3 position. You're never going to compete with that, so to speak, but it does tell you the importance of putting out good podcasts and videos on the YouTube. Who owns YouTube? Google. So that's particularly important to look at. But my first blush is I usually look at the backlink domains and how many they have. Now, there's just no chance we could ever compete for this particular keyword because these are all very strong competitors, have hundreds of thousands of backlinks to them, and backlinks are one of the major things that Google looks at to put you on the first page. So even though our keyword did in fact pass our test for the first 3, when we come over to see how we can compete with it, there's no way we can, basically based on this particular data. Also note, when we do find one that has a reasonable number of backlinks that we can compete with, and what I mean by that, every time you do a blog and you put a link back to your site, that's a backlink. So you can see here's 433,395 backlinks to this particular web page, which is realself.com/chemical peel and reviews. There's just no way we could ever compete with something like that. And so we would not even invest in that particular keyword. And over here, what I was going to show you also is that, in fact, this has a no or a yes, whether the keyword is actually used in the title, the URL, the description, or the headline, header tags. And so those are the important places that you do put your keyword. And see, here's one that knows what they're doing, and it's looks like docshop.com, and they understand how to use a keyword properly in their website. So I won't bore everybody, but basically those are the real aspect of what we want to do. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and hopefully get back here. No, okay, good. All right. So you can see getting good keywords, the heart and soul of a website, and you also use those keywords on all your off-page SEO type properties, whether they're blogs, whether you tweet it, whether you Facebook it, anything like that. You put up a video on YouTube, you use your keywords that you want to rank for all of that. So that's my install on that was only 8 minutes. The install on my internet marketing. Does anybody have any question on that?
I guess I have a couple of comments. Number one, you lost me, but that's good because I'm easily lost when it gets to stuff this technical. So I expected that. But you didn't lose me when it comes to the importance. You can have the greatest content in the world, but if no one's ever going to see it,
correct,
it's worthless. And that's how important these keywords are.
Correct.
Am I correct in saying that these keywords are a major factor in determining your rank? One of the major factors in determining your rank in a search engine?
It is the only factor. And a lot of people say, well, SEO is dead. It's not dead, because if you think about it, if Google has to look at a website and try to figure out what you're relevant for, it's going to look for some form of a keyword. And if you don't give it to them, they guess at it. And yeah, so the bottom line, Frank, is it is the heart and soul. It's the engine room of your web page. And if you don't have traffic, you can't sell anything. And so it's all about driving traffic using those particular keywords. And these searches, I was just on with a client this morning giving a lecture, helping him. And he spent all last week, literally all last week, trying to find some keywords. And still, he's in a very competitive space, and nothing matched yet. So we're still looking to get traffic. Yeah, but that's the bottom line. It is definitely the heart and soul of what we do.
So then there must be some keyword tools that people sell that help you come up, just like you were displaying a keyword tool, right? That says, hey,
correct,
that type of
correct.
thing.
I use Market Samurai, which is a phenomenal tool. It should be illegal, and it's so good that, I mean, when you finally get your head wrapped around what you're doing, um, wow, it just makes all the difference in the world. It just truly does. There's a lot of free keyword tools, but they're not as elaborate as Market Samurai. Market Samurai is a bit pricey too, but it pays for itself in the first traffic you ever get. It's going to pay for itself. So it's like one of those things, and it isn't the easiest piece of software to go learn. You got to get your head wrapped around it, but it's a tool that I use all the time, and it does make a lot of difference. And you know, on that same topic, you can even scientifically do it like this and put those keywords in the site, but still nobody will come. You have to get off the site, which is the last lesson we'll have, and utilize those keywords pointing back at your site, so Google can run into that and say, oh wow, look at this, and it goes over to the site and that kind of a thing. So you build a long distance runner in a website, but you got to put them in the race, and the race is you got to be active out on the web. So a lot of people will put in these keywords and walk away, and they get no traffic, and they wonder why. Well, are you out on your blogs? Are you out tweeting it? Are you out Facebooking it? No. Well, you built a beautiful long-distance runner, and you put them in no race. So that'll be the fourth lesson.
I have one more question then because it's if I use a keyword in my URL, does that help?
Oh, absolutely. It's now, very good point, Frank. I should give you $20 for that lead in. Basically, the other thing to look at, and let's just go look at that again. Let me share the screen one more time. I got to focus on myself. That's good. Let me know, guys, when you see it. And is it up yet?
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Now, since we were looking for this keyword facial peel, if we look down through these URLs, there's no main URL with the term facial peel in it. In other words, no www.facialpeel.com. We could actually go, if that was available, either .com, .net, .anything, it doesn't matter, but we could purchase that particular keyword URL. Now, when somebody puts in facial peel and Google's got to go look for relevant sites, if it sees a keyword like facial peel that's an exact match, it's going to list it very high. So that's another way of doing that. And those types of things fall out when you're looking for them using this keyword tool. And I saw only one. Here's a facial chemical, chemical peel treatments, facial peels right here. But see, that's a sub-page in the site, which is another exact match URL play. If you don't or can't purchase the facialpeel.com, you can make a page in your site with the exact word facial peel, and that they'll look for that, and you can see how highly they stress that. It's right there. A lot of people don't know that, so that's a very good tool. And when I do this for clients, I always look to see what some exact match URLs could be. And yeah, so that's good. Let me get back over here to where we are, and I'll stop sharing that screen. Okay, good. All right. Any
Peter,
other questions on that?
Yeah, yeah, Peter, I have a question. You know, you have your rule of three things that you look at, and your example today, 2 out of the 3 were good, 1 wasn't, and you said that you shouldn't go ahead with it. Is that usually the case? If all 3 of the things aren't in line with the parameters that you've set, would you say don't go ahead with that keyword?
Correct. There's only one exception. If it meets traffic, if it gets above 50 searches a day, and it has reasonable competition, under 150,000 web pages, but nobody bought anything with it, you have to ask yourself, well, on a site, are you going to be selling anything? If you have an informational site where you're not going to sell anything, you really wouldn't care about that parameter.
Okay.
And then you go look at the competition, how strong it is with all those other parameters I was showing. So you can get by the first 3, but you got to go look at that SEO traffic to see if you can get any of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go on that one.
Okay. So
all right.
So I think it goes back to what we talked about last week too. That you really have to have a clear vision for that site and your company's mission statement. So when you go in there, the answers become fairly obvious if you know exactly what you're trying to accomplish when you start building your website.
Right. To fail to plan is to plan to fail.
Yeah.
My tagline from Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
But you're absolutely right, and that's probably the key mistake that people don't do. And it's not a lot of fun. It's not sexy. It's a pain in the rear, quite frankly, to hunt for these keywords, but they're so vitally important. And then on the site next week, we'll talk about our on-page SEO and where we utilize these keywords actually on the site. And these are all tag indicators that Google looks for to try to understand who you are and what you're all about.
Great. Hey, that's great information, Peter. Thanks.
It's far more technical to build websites that really work than people would normally think of. And I think all of you, have looked at websites and go, but this is what we do.
Well, I guess I'll give you a shameless plug here because I worked with you so long now. You're a rare breed that has that technical expertise and the marketing skills and sales skills in one person. That's hard to find. So I think you do a great job.
I'll be the first one to admit I'm weird. Yes, Paul? Mark? You had a question?
Since we're in the 101 small business, I think that when most people try to put their keywords together in the beginning, they're thinking broad. In other words, a couple of the most expensive words out there would be insurance.
Sure.
And attorney. So because they are so broad in their view, there's an incredible amount of competition, and the more specific you can be, the better off it is, but not down to the obscure. So that's where the science and the art kind of come into play there, by taking it just simply from attorney to divorce attorney, or from insurance down to health insurance. It's going to eliminate a lot of the extra stuff out there because you're still using the word insurance or attorney. And then at the same time, if you're talking more about if your brand or your store or whatever you're trying to do might be for senior health insurance, it drops it down a little bit more specific. And the more specific we can get, then the better we can help.
Good point. The other thing, and I'll add on to that too, is back to Frank's exact match URL question. If you can't get the facialpeel.com, you could go facialpeelsite.com and maybe get that, or blog, or website. Throw some other word in there, so you're going to match 2 out of the 3 parameters on an exact match, and so that'll work out well. And the other aspect of that too, for example, if you wanted to go find Italian food in Indio, California, what would you type into Google? Anybody?
Italian food, Indio, California.
Yes, or at least Italian food Indio, right? So one of our clients, if you actually look at it, he's an Italian food, Charlie Maroney's, right? His web address is italianfoodindio.com. So we actually just trick it, so to speak, and he is in the #1 position. And that's another thing. So if you want to capture a local market, you can brand it that way. It could be Italian Food Palmdale or Palm Desert or PalmSprings.com, and you'll rank very high because you're very relevant to Google. So there's another trick.
Using a keyword plus a geographic location is very key if you're a local business dealing with local clientele that may be 5, 10, 15, 20 miles around you. Very, very important.
Yeah, back to your plumbers, all those plumbers in one place. If they applied this strategy, I can guarantee that they're going to outrun the other ones in Google searches for plumbers in Palmdale, or Palm Springs or wherever that was, and Cat City or whatever. You just got to sit back and think, okay, what is going back to what Frank is all about, inbound marketing. What is a client likely to type in to find my type of business? With that thinking, then you go start to look at keywords that you can grab that would give you that local traffic. And it doesn't have to always be, by the way, your main URL. You can make a landing page with that and then have an enter here button take you back over to the main site. So you can actually strategically put up more websites with those local keywords in them, and people will find you.
So then all of these offers I see on TV, web.com and wix.com, are free websites. They don't offer keyword analysis, do they? They just say, put it up, and if nobody sees it, oh, I guess that's your issue.
Well, and that's what most web people do. They build webs. They don't try to drive traffic, and they don't try to market. And I think that in fact is the big difference, is that, what I'm trying to do is to build websites that work and teach people how to drive traffic to those things to make money. Otherwise, you have a real fancy online brochure, and some companies, that's just great. Most and web people will say, oh yeah, we'll put some keywords in there for you. What are your keywords you want us to use? Like Mark says, oh, insurance. Oh, okay, that's a keyword. But you know darn well there's no way they're going to rank for that. Absolutely not going to happen. So yeah, it's really, really important when you want to do that and do it right. But exact match URLs and adding the geotag like that is pretty clever. And so when we get over next week's lesson, we'll also talk a little bit about 411 sites, and that drives a lot of local traffic and getting onto Yelps and getting in Google reviews are gold, absolutely gold to get found with the 7-box approach. So we'll talk more about that next week.
Great.
All right. I think Frank, you wanted to start a new section here, so kick it off there, Frank.
I I watch the news and read the news on my iPad, and it interests me because it's always changing, and I think I have ADD, so if it doesn't change, I lose focus. But I'd like to start on something new, and I guess I'm committed to it, which I'll take a news item in the past 7 days and see how we can relate it to small businesses. And the obvious choice is what happened Tuesday in Virginia. Representative Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader, was defeated by an unknown name. I think his first name is David or Daniel Bratt, B-R-A-T, I think his name. I never heard of him until Tuesday night. And I said, wow, how could that happen? Because a week before the election, Eric Cantor, who had raised over $5 million for his campaign, hired a McLaughlin Associate, I think, survey group, and they said, oh, Eric, you have a 62-38 lead. The question is not will you win, the question is how big will you bury Mr. Bratt? And and even everybody who follows politics says this is a no-brainer. And Eric Cantor had name recognition. Eric Cantor still is, until January, July, the majority leader in the House. In my opinion, second only to John Boehner. He was going to challenge John Boehner in November as far as becoming Speaker of the House, which makes him third in line for the presidency. There was talks of him running for president in 2016. He had the reputation, he had the money, he had the looks, he had the political machine. He had everything going for him. And Tuesday night, when the results came in, he did not win by 24 points. He lost by 11 points. And the world was shocked. And then they did the initial analysis was because of immigration. By the way, and this has nothing to do with politics, because politics doesn't play in this discussion. And I looked at it and I said, wow. And my mind immediately said, Eric Cantor is the 800-pound gorilla in your industry. You are, as a small business owner, David Bratt. The big kahuna has all the money, has the reputation, has the fame, has the staff, has the people, has the print, has everything that he is going to beat your clock every time you compete against him or her, because they are the biggest, and the biggest always win. Well, that's not what happened. What David Bratt did, he said, you know what, Mr. Cantor, you are vulnerable. I am small, but I am personal. And David Bratt, being unknown, He didn't use the big campaign of look at all the things I have done for you. David Bratt says, well, I haven't. I'm a professor at I don't even know the name of the college, Morgan College, I guess it is. And he says, not look what I've done, because I haven't done anything for you, but look what I can do for you. And he related to each individual voter constituent in that district. He made it very personal. He says, I'm here to work for you. Well, Eric Cantor said the same things, but he said it in a very grandiose and generic way. And David Bratt, and I don't know how much cold calling he did because I didn't follow that much, but whenever he had events, he tied into a group called the Tea Party, and we know the pros and cons of a Tea Party, and they drove traffic to his events, and David connected with each and every with the voters that voted for him. So not only did David Bratt win by 11 points, but the turnout of that election was 30% higher than the previous election 2 years ago. So remember, it says that people don't care until they know how much you care. Well, Eric Cantor cared about his people because he's been elected all this time, but David Bratt had the people care about him because he related to the people. And so the lessons that I got out of this week in the news from a small business owner is it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. What matters is your message. What matters your message? Does it resonate with what I'm thinking at the time? Okay, everything is personal, everything is timely. And Mark Paul is good with that with his mobile ads. When I'm looking for an Italian restaurant, what pops up on my mobile phone? Italian food, not some guy trying to sell bed sheets, right? It's all timely and personal. He related. He showed them how much he cares. He gave them a reason to care for him, and they in turn turned out and support him. So it's not how big you are; it's how personal you are. It's not how loud your message is; it's how pointed your message is. You've got to understand where the voter is at the time. Now, in terms of business, and you know this is my mantra here, the buyer's attitude has changed since the internet, and has dramatically changed since the smartphone came out. The buyer now gathers information in their own way, in their own time, and when they want to do it. The buyer looks for information that they can relate to at the time they want to relate to it, so timeliness is everything. They got to feel it's personal. You're talking directly to them. It can't be some generic message. You'll be talking to them. And Eric Cantor and his massive, matter of fact, here's a statistic I saw last night. Eric Cantor had over $5 million in his campaign fund. David Bratt had 200,000. And David
How much?
Bratt won. 200,000 total.
200,000.
200,000, yeah.
God, David and Goliath.
Eric Cantor spent $150,000 just on steak dinners for his campaign. Talk about not relating to the people, right? So matter of fact, to me, and based on what stuff you've talked about this last week and this week, Peter, the small business owner has an outstanding opportunity to reach his or her target market. And as long as it's done properly and well, in which you're showing us how to do it on a weekly basis. So the small business owner, if you're not that big, who cares? Are you more personal? Can you relate? Can you attract? Can you intrigue? And can you fascinate? And those are the 3 points of my new book that's coming out. You've got to be able to attract, intrigue, and then fascinate. And then people will follow you and they'll let you. Now say, well, wait a minute. You know, I'm still going to keep the old school ways, and I still do okay, and that's okay. But to me, every customer that you deal, prospect that you deal with, is like an election. You either win or you lose. If you get 49% and the other seller gets 51%, you may feel good you got 49%, but you don't get the business. It's very, and to quote Dick Bentley, it's very black and white when it comes to winning and losing sales. So the lessons are: be personable, be relevant, attract the people that you want to attract, intrigue them with what you're going to do, fascinate them with what you're going to do, and people will vote for you, and they'll visit you, and they'll buy from you. And those are my lessons from this week in the news.
Very cool. We'll open that up. Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, just one initial comment, Frank, he and you've talked about how the smartphone has changed the way us get information and all. Because he only had $200,000, he did most of his video work on cell phone videos that he posted to website or went to emails to people and all. And he did almost all of his advertising videos from a cell phone video. So.
There you
Wow.
go. Wow. And that, as we know, is probably the most effective and least costly form of promoting yourself that we have available today. In fact, what we're doing today is a video.
Oh, absolutely.
And not enough small owners are taking advantage of this great tool that Google, in this case it's Google, is providing for us at no charge.
Agreed.
But just to finish up, I think what that points out is Eric Cantor had the glitzy campaign ads that you see on TV, all scripted and all professional and all that. And the other fella had his cell phone video that may have shown some warts along the way as far as his appearance, or we said something wrong or whatever. But I think I get political here, but I believe that the people in the United States are relating more to the real person, a politician. So I think that really was a big advantage for him.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dick. That is absolutely true. As a matter of fact, and this was, again, I don't know if I talked about this in one of the first podcasts. When I first started on sales, I knew nothing, that kind of thing. And then I studied a lot, which is what I do, and I learned a lot. And I failed because I became too slick. Eric Cantor is slick. David Bratt is real. People buy real today. They don't buy slick. Slick is gone. And by the way, again, Greg Gutfeld, who appears on Red Eye and Fox, he has a book called Cool is Not Cool. And Eric Cantor was too cool. And everybody, and to me, the more real you are, the more attractive you are. And David Bratt was much more attractive to, obviously, the voter clientele and won the deal. And I think there's some great lessons here for small business owners.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can jump in here, yesterday we had a podcast with Jim from Ageless Secret, and I started to polish it. And I thought, no. There's a place in there where real is what people are looking for. And I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So be real. Don't be slick.
Matter of fact, I even have a set of DVDs, martial arts DVDs of Be Real, where I did that exact approach where I actually figured out it was a contest of trying. I as a martial artist all my life, I probably have 5,000 techniques to disarm somebody or take them down or whatever. But if you only had 10 hours to teach one person to literally survive the most violent attack you can think of, what techniques would you put out there? And it was a lot of fun going through all of that. And so I have a double DVD set that basically we beat the heck out of these techniques to find something that can be readily learned, easy to apply, and very effective. But real is an important thing. So we don't want to polish these too much. Right. You know, I think people appreciate, like us, we're talking back and forth and having a debate. They like to see that. They get to know us better.
Yep.
And there's always two sides. There's always two sides. And again, if I can just go on, a girl named, her last name is Johnson. I can't think of her first name. She was. There were two people that Steve Jobs worked closely with. One was Jonathan Ivey, who was his designer, and another one was this lady. I can't think. Eileen or Arlene Johnson, her name. Allison Johnson, and she was the marketing director. And I'm fascinated by anything with Steve Jobs. And she made a comment the other day on a video that I watched that just, man, it's still resonating with me today, because I like to think of myself as a Steve Jobs. Well, I'm not. I never will be. And here's what she said, and I can really relate to this. She says, and it's like she was talking to me, and obviously it was a video. She wasn't. It's like she said, Frank, the world doesn't want another Steve Jobs. They've already had it. You know what they're looking for? the first Frank Syringa, and that's what you are. And that's the message I got. So the world's not looking for another Revlon or Estee Lauder or whatever Mr. Olay's thing is. They're looking for the first Jim Kasich of Asia's Secret. And as the minute you realize that and you accept it and internalize it, you are who you are. And that's your biggest selling point. And let people know that you will attract those that you can help the most, and you will not attract those that will just be time wasters. Thank you. Anyway, so again, I'm getting a little carried away here, but I sincerely believe that everybody here is so damn special, and the more small business you are, the more special you are, because no big business CEO, I don't care if you're Jack Welch or Steve Jobs or Ben Moshe just got let go at AIG, they don't care more about their business than you, Mr. Small Shop Owner or Mr. Consultant or whoever you are, or legal aid franchisee or representative. They don't care more than you. They don't care maybe not as much as you, because your future depends on what you're doing. I mean, that's it. Get off my soapbox here.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true, Frank. Everything you're saying. And that also then leads into social media. People want to get to know who you are, and that's how they do it. And social media is a perfect venue to get to know the real Peter Brusso or the real Frank Syringa.
Well, let me throw a wrench into that.
Okay.
The first week I don't have anything from the news. My topic will be why you've got to stop listening to Tony Robbins and Dale Carnegie. They're hurting, they're hurting your business. It no longer applies. Anyway, and that'll be a nice topic for us to discuss. But Tony Robbins and Dale Carnegie are passé. It doesn't work anymore, and I can talk about that when I don't have something in the news. But that'll be a fun topic. I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, so
I know. So I can't wait. That'll be a good discussion. You will be Jane that week.
Okay, I'll be Jane.
Okay.
I would like to approach what Frank said, and thank you again, Frank, for bringing up such a timely topic. How it relates to some advertising for the small business, and when I had my own ad agency for 10 years and did that for a long time, but I had so many people that were, and I did radio and television and magazines and billboards and all sorts of different things that were geared more to a larger audience and obviously a larger cost factor. But I had so many of my friends and other people, like that kids that went to school with my kids, and their parents had small businesses, and they said, well, I would love to do something like radio or TV, but I've only got $5,000 or $10,000 to spend for the entire year. Well, if we're going to go in that direction, that's going to cover you for a month or two, maybe squeeze it to 3, but it's not something that's going to be long term for what you have for an annual budget. So I got out of that business and I went into doing smaller things that would enable anybody to get into things. And believe it or not, things that are small and easy to get to and they're still applicable in most markets are something as simple as Yellow Pages. And just to use that as a small thing, you can be very effective in a lot of places if you have a really good message, you've got good photographs, you've got pertinent information of what you do. You don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to take out, a full page or a double truck or something along those lines to be effective in your categories. You have to be competitive in what you're doing, but having that message and really finding out who the person is. So when I sit down and I do an interview with somebody, it'll take me 30 minutes just to ask, my basic 20 questions, just to find out who you are and what's important to you and what do you like and about your business and what makes the money in your business, so that there's a nice combination there. And if I can hit the target market with something that's the size of a business card or the size of that's a 4x4 or a quarter page of an ad and still be competitive, those are things that I feel are very important, because I'm really trying to even get the small business being able to compete, but you have to take the same amount of time that you would do with a larger client, but still give them the specifics that they want to concentrate on. And that's something that I really enjoy doing with small businesses, because you don't have to spend a ton of money to be effective, similar to what David did with Eric. And that's something that I've done for many years, and I enjoy doing that kind of thing. Um, it's one of the things that are rather passionate to me, to be able to do something that may be $100 or $200 a month versus 10 or 20,000 bucks a month, and still be effective, because now we have things where we can track virtually all of the things that we do, whether it's in print, whether it is in the internet, whether it's on cell phones. All of those things, we have trackable items, and if you can track exactly where you're getting your phone calls from, or where you're getting people that are getting to you on the internet, if you can track those things, then you can move that to where you've done your, and match those names or those phone numbers against the sales receipts that you've received, and you know who came in and who bought what. You put them together, the numbers don't lie, and that turns it into an ROI question. So the usage first of what people are doing and using in their advertising toward that, are your target market, are they using books, or like phone books, are they using internet, are they using cell phones, or what are they looking at that makes sense for you? And the second thing is always ROI. We want to make sure that you spend less and you make more. So that gap in there, but you still have to put in the hours and do the diligence to find out what we can use. And having a smaller ad, there's things, because then you can't put in 15 different pictures to show something. But that's kind of the nuance of finding somebody who knows how to do this and who cares about what your business is all about. It's the being personal between the advertiser as well as the owner of the business, and then trying to get that out to their market. So those are the things that I think are practical to a lot of the people in our audience.
I think we've mentioned this before. The process that you go through is quite brilliant. We ought to have one podcast where we actually go do that, so people can see what it is you do and how valuable that is. So I would vote that we're going to do that one of these days here, and have a live event.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It would be good if you could do that with a live client.
Yeah, maybe we should drag somebody on. I have a guy who may join us. He's just got his real estate license, and he's all excited, and he wants to figure out how to drive a bunch of traffic to him. And so he actually listened to our podcast here, and he said, I got more questions than answers, which I guess is good in one way and bad in another. But we might get him on and throw some brain power at him a little bit.
Now, is he local, or is he out of state?
No, he's out of state. He's in Texas.
Okay, perfect.
So, that's a competitive space. It's not an easy place to be in. And I think all these guys are competing against each other. It's a tough place. It'd be interesting to see what we come up with.
Well, yeah, but for the converse to that, because it's so competitive, they're all doing the same thing.
Correct.
And so if we can give him, you said it's a him, give him some ideas of how we can stand out from the crowd, I think he may capitalize on their sameness, because he will be the orange in a basket full of apples.
Yeah, I mean, even to think about, if you got a realtor to use this format, for example, and just literally flood YouTube with his or her knowledge and things and checklists and what you got to look out for. Podcasting is in its day now. I was doing podcasting when it was first invented, and nobody knew what the heck it was. But the advent of YouTube and the success of YouTube shows that video is sexy, and it sells, and it has legs. It really reaches out there. So one of the things we could suggest to them is getting their own podcast show, and putting out 10-minute podcasts, for example, about not only properties he has, but also what you got to look out for, tips and tricks in the industry, that kind of thing. I'll get his name out there.
Okay. Well, hope he joins us. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I was going to try to drag him on this week, but it just didn't turn out that way. So, but again, it'd be interesting to take Mark Paul and do a live kind of like we're going to do his ad, Mark, and take him right down through that and see what you do. Because I'm a big fan of yours with that, and it's brilliant. And we ought to push him through that process. Is that something you could do with a realtor?
I can do it to anybody.
I
Sure.
would think so. I would think so. So we might try to do that.
Yeah.
We might do our third internet lesson and go through Frank's stuff, and then basically get over to helping somebody like that.
Right.
That might be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So, anybody else got anything they want to talk about?
No.
Wow, 45 minutes, guys. We still have 15 more minutes to go here. So, let's see. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, well, I was going to think about. My mind's working on this real estate guy. And again, obviously we're in where we are in the Palm Springs area. Everything is about real estate, promoting to the seniors because of our communities. But they all spend their time telling them how they're better than the other 152 realtors that you're going to get information from, and I think that's a mistake. They should tell me how they're different and why that difference matters to me. Being different is better than being better. And as I love it when the competition spends, in fact, they're jabbing each other, knocking each other's out. Oh, they're better than the other guy, better than the other gal. And you say, great. Go watch them if you want. If you want to watch a good fight, let me tell you how I'm different and why this difference matters to you. Spend your time on being different, not being better, and you'll be ahead of the. No, you're still going to deliver, but you'll get people interested. People are attracted to difference. Everybody says they're better, and I think there's great opportunity in the real estate field to be different. Great opportunity to be different.
Yeah, interesting. In martial arts, one of the masters was asking a question, drew a couple lines on the floor, and he says, to the students, well, how would you make the, my line or your line better than mine? And everybody goes, well, they'd erase half of yours. In other words, attack that person, teaching style or whatever, and the master reaches down and just starts drawing his line longer and longer and longer. Focus on yourself, make yourself better. Don't worry about putting somebody else down. Don't cut their line. Let them be whatever they're going to be. But I think this resonates with you, Frank, that in fact we ought to find the things that he is unique at. Back to your very basic question. His name is Charles Walker, who is a former Marine, who's a former Border Patrol agent, and he's in a border in El Paso. So he's right amongst a lot of people, and there's a large force of military there that they need to buy homes too, and so the things that we ought to try to focus on are those qualities. Marines and people that are veterans. Dick and I are veterans, and we have a soft place in our heart. We'd rather prefer to do business with veterans than non-veterans, frankly. So his strengths are out of what we play to, I think.
Yeah, and again, we say he's a former. You said Marine. Is that what he is? A Marine?
Yes,
A former
Marine.
and a current or former border agent.
Former
border agent. I mean, he's got two things right away that I'm venture to say 90% of his competitors don't have.
Agreed.
Or maybe 95% don't have. You start from there and you build upon that, and now you've left. And if I don't know if you see my video here, he's up here, his competitors are down here. I mean, he's going to get the attention. Now it's a question of building on that attention so that there is nobody else to go except Charles Walker. He is the obvious choice. Let's start with him first, and if he can't, we'll go someplace else. But let's start with Charles Walker, because why would I want to start any place else? And here are the reasons why. Awesome. Get him on.
Right.
Get him on.
I think that would be pretty cool. and utilize this tool, obviously, and us, to help him out like that. But instead of putting down everybody else, let's build that person up.
Again, getting back to Eric Cantor. Eric Cantor, and I think he started sensing, because the last week of his campaign, he spent a lot of money on negative ads
Right.
going against Mr. Bratt, and all he did was raise Mr. Bratt's position and prominence by concentrating on how bad he was. People said, well, is he that bad? And they found out he wasn't. And so Eric Cantor was promoting David Bratt by knocking him down. The hell with the competition. You are the prize.
You're the product.
You are the prize. Promote you. Promote not how you're better. Promote how you're different and why that matters. Awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's a real world thing. I mean, I think, and I don't like negative ads anyway. I just get so tired of people tearing up everybody like that, and half of it isn't even true. They're after what Rush Limbaugh says, the low information voters. But in the past, they in fact, unfortunately, negative ads do seem to have more of an impact than positive ads. It would seem. So I hope they stop that stuff. I wish you could, sue them, arrest them, or hit them with a stick when they do stuff stupid like that. It's disgusting.
Well, let me put it. I have two examples of why negative ads no longer work. Number one was Eric Cantor and David Bratt. It drove people to David Bratt because Eric Cantor painted him in such a bad light. The other example happened yesterday, and I had two choices for this week. One was Eric Cantor, the other one was Uber. You all know who Uber is, the disruptive car service.
Right.
That is now in 150 cities. There was a major protest in 8 different cities in Europe by cab drivers who stopped traffic. They stopped traffic over the bridges going in and out of Paris, and they did all this to tell them how bad Uber was for the community. When they did that, Uber's business went up 831% because they so much focus on Uber. People didn't even know who the hell Uber was, and each of these countries said, what is it? They looked at them and says, wow, I didn't know I could do this. So negative ads, and by the way, and they may still work. I don't want to be too black and white. They may still work, but they don't work as effectively as they did before. So anyway, yeah, you are the prize. Talk about you. Talk about you. And the more eccentric you are, the more prize-worthy you are. The better you are. So the more different you are. Cool.
The Uber model is pretty astounding, and they're answering a need, and it's not what the cabs want to see. You want to tell everybody what Uber's all about, Frank?
Sure. Uber is a mobile app in which you can go and order a car, and you can pick the car you want. The GPS on your mobile smartphone knows where you are. It shows you where all the available cars are on a grid close to you. You can pick the car you want. It tells you tell it where you want to go. It tells you how long it takes for that car to get to where you are, how long it will take you to get to your destination, and how much they're going to charge you. And you can accept it, and they charge your credit card on your phone. So you just wait there, and you can track the location of your car as it gets closer and closer to you. And in most cases, and by the way, and it's dynamic pricing. When nobody is looking for a cab, the prices are really, really low. When it's really, really busy, the prices get higher because of supply and demand, where taxis use a flat rate, so much per mile. So most of the time you're going to save money. Sometimes you're going to pay money, but don't use it. Go and wait for the yellow cab to show up as you're waving it by at the end of a street corner. But here's the interesting thing. The people who are opposing this are the cab drivers. Cab drivers do not own the medallion. They rent a car and pay a majority of their fares back to the guy or gal who owns the medallion. Uber, they get a share of the revenues. Uber drivers make more money than taxi drivers. So taxi drivers are competing against a better deal for them. Again, I think it's an awesome thing. It was valued. They got the last round of funding within the last 8 days, I guess it is, and it was valued at $18.2 billion. Hertz and Avis combined don't equal $18 billion, the value of the company.
Yeah, one of the nice things about it, I mean, if you're a married couple or a couple at all, and you want to go from your house to a restaurant to drink, you don't want to drink and drive, right? That's one of the places that Uber really excels at, is the ability to take you inexpensively to that restaurant, and then when you're done and you want, you can just obviously use their app and get right back home the same way, fairly inexpensive. It makes it finally a good thing. They're also trying to do the same Uber thing with small rental space for apartments. If you have a two-bedroom apartment and you're not using that second bedroom, why don't you do an Uber rental for the weekend and get paid for that?
I've not seen that because there's a company called Airbnb,
Right?
which is which is done quite. They're international as well, and they're doing something similar to that, and they're doing extremely well. Again, disruptive is good. I love disrupt. I think disruptive is awesome.
Yeah.
And these are all small companies who have great ideas and great SEO, by the way, and I'm sure. But you don't have to be big to get big results, and that's what we're talking about.
It's also interesting with that rent out your room kind of thing. The states and cities are going after that look-alike Uber thing, saying, well, no, at a hotel you have all these things you have to pass a test, a state test, and you don't pass that. They don't even know about you, so you can't rent your room out like that. So they're trying. The government's getting in the middle of the mess of entrepreneurs trying to make something new and something happen, and it's amazing how many people want to stop that stuff.
And it's interesting because the people who are trying to stop this change are the people who get hurt by the most from the change. The people who are accepting the change are the consumers, the users, saying, man, this is a great deal for me. I get what I want when I want at a better price. But the people, and most likely it's the government or the big agencies, saying, oh, you're disrupting the model I've had for 110 years. Yes, we are. Live with it.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. And so people are demanding the change, and this is good. And again, lessons again for the small business owner, and this is great. So be different. Don't be better.
Yeah, I of course am really par for the entrepreneurs. They're going to take it over. Gosh darn it,
There you go.
Got to be rooting for those guys.
Yes.
I mean, you think about, and I think Mark Paul runs into this all the time. 95% of America is small business. And if you're constantly in their way, which this government is, it's just really tough to be an entrepreneur when everybody's trying to shut you down legally and can't do this and can't do that. Terrible. But I digress. So.
Well, as the line from the movie Miracle, you ever see that movie with Herb Brooks and the 1980 American Olympic team? He gives a talk about the Russians being so great, and one of the lines in his talk, he says, I am sick and tired of hearing how great the Russians are. He says, screw them! And that's how I feel about big businesses. I'm sick and tired of how great big businesses are. Screw them! Small businesses are going to take the lead. And we are the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. All right, guys. Any last comments, Dick?
No, just thank Peter for your presentation. I thought it was very good, and Frank, your new feature went over very well. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Mark, closing words?
Glad to be a part of the group, and whatever we can do to help other people be successful, that's the reason why all of us get together and help each other and help other people. That's our thing, man.
Frank, last words?
Again, I always feel better at the end of the podcast than I do at the beginning. So I want to thank you guys for getting me energized. Thank you.
Well, we're getting some pretty rich lessons. I mean, you just can't get this stuff anywhere else, at least not that I know of, and so this has been a great format, I think, for all of us.
Yeah.
We'll get some more masterminds on get some more flavor going here too, and that's always a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, another one's in the can, so have a good day. I'll stop the podcast and hang on, guys.